How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle. Whew. And today we're going to be talking about Night of the Living Dead Resurrection from 2012. This is the British remake of the George A. Romero classic, and the third time this movie has been remade. This is directed by James Plumb, and we begin with a group of street punks harassing a man to get him to buy alcohol for them. However, when the man goes in, he gets bit, turns into a zombie, and I guess the joke's on them. In this scene, we also get a nice bit where one of the street punks urinates on the zombie. I don't know what it is about British films thinking they're edgy by including these street punk characters, but the way they're portrayed in film never really interests me, and I'm not a big fan of how they're portrayed in a lot of these movies. But guess who happens to drive by trying to warn them and then moves on is our good friend Ben. Ben, the main character from the original Night of the Living Dead, a classic, iconic character, one of the best protagonists in horror movies, hands down. He is driving a car low on gas, going deeper into the country, trying to meet up with Babs, who I guess is this movie's Barbara. We never see her, it doesn't matter. He's low on gas and stops by a farmhouse, and I have to call it's a mild spoiler. It happens within the first third of the movie. It is a major event, but first thirds I don't normally consider spoilers, but this is something I want you guys to know before you see it. I want to give you a warning about this part. It's something I really hate and ruins the movie. Well, there's lots of other bad stuff that ruins this movie, but this just sets the course straight down. At the 20-minute mark of the movie, Ben goes to the farmhouse, calls out for help, looks into the mailbox slot to see if anyone's home, where a shotgun pops out and shoots Ben in the face. It is one of the most disrespectful endings to a horror movie hero. And you see that and you're like, if they weren't going to use the character, why did they even have him in? It was just horribly disrespectful, and it makes you hate the characters who you are going to end up following. I think they wanted to surprise you and do a big, role reversal, but there's a difference between surprising us and just giving us, this huge sense of disappointment. In the original movie, things built up, by the time we got to anything like that, and it had a purpose. Here it just feels meaningless, and it's bad. And then you have to follow these people, and the group of people you follow are horribly incompetent. First I want to say, they live in the farmhouse, or at least most of them do, and that's something that Night of the Living Dead 3D in that box over there, it did as well, and I don't know why this is such a hard concept for people to get, but if your characters don't live in the farmhouse and they're in a stranger's house, that makes the situation so much more surreal rather than feeling comforting because you're in your own home, and that's something that so many remakes choose to ignore, and I don't know why. I guess because it makes sense to be at your own house, so who cares, but whatever. Then you get the actual characters in this house. You have the old men that shot Ben. You have the husband of this lady who's having a baby, and he's having an affair with her sister, and basically anybody in this group you either wind up really, really not liking, or you don't know them too well, and the group is grossly incompetent. They face minimal danger in this apocalypse, and they still find a way to get darn near everyone killed. And it's just sad. And like, these are, you know how sometimes they remake it with fast zombies? They still keep the slow zombies, which I guess this film does right, except for they're way too slow. Like, a zombie will stand and stare at you for like 15 seconds before it does anything. And yeah, yet they still get bit and die. And speaking of slow, there are several times where I spaced out and I pushed the go back 10 seconds button on my remote, and I realized that when I went back 10 seconds, the camera angle hadn't changed, because there's lots of really slow, long shots in this movie where the camera will literally just stare at something for 30 seconds thinking it's being dramatic when it's really just not good or interesting. So yeah, really slow. There's, to be honest, the first time I tried to watch this movie was months and months ago, and I turned it off at about the third point and just completely abandoned it. But I decided recently I wanted to go and rewatch, watch all the Romero Zombieverse movies, so that meant giving this another shot, and I didn't find it quite as bad the second time around, but I realized that a large chunk of the middle is people sitting at home and talking about if the world's gonna end, and I've survived but enough of 2020 where suddenly these scenes seemed more relatable, because people spent March and April sitting around their houses talking about if the world's gonna end. That doesn't mean the movie's gotten better. That means the world has gotten worse. But anyway, people in the group, they get bit, they don't know how to handle it, and there's this weird, I guess you call it an air in the movie, but the people get bit, they lock them in a room. There's one of those sliding locks on the outside. For some reason, this farmhouse has locks to lock people in their room already in all the doors. I don't know why this house would have that. Why would you have a house with sliding locks to lock people in your rooms before the zombie apocalypse? That was one of those things that's better not to think about. Anyway, it's pretty much boring all throughout, sitting at home, not doing much, barely getting any zombies, and then you get to the finale and it's not really much better. If you don't like jerk characters, there's a lot of them in this movie, and even more show up at the end, and it ends on a really bad note, and I just thought, wow, that is dark even for this movie. But then you watch through the credits, and at the end it says, "Coming soon, Night of the Living Dead Revelations," which did not come out, or at least in the 6 or 7 years since this movie came out, it hasn't. Actually, 8 or 9 years. So that's a small bit of mercy that we didn't get another one of these, but it kind of puts the ending in a framework, like, oh, they thought they were going to get a sequel, they didn't, and instead the ending is just super dark. But anyway, this movie, to be honest, I really don't like to be negative, and reviewing some of these Night of the Living Dead sequels and remakes, I feel like I am being, but I have to say that I think this is the worst of the Night of the Living Dead movies. Now, I should have more of these on my channel, so if you do want to check out some of the others, there are reviews for those, but this one, I only recommend to the completionists, the guys who have to watch every single movie. Other than that, I really don't recommend this. Go watch something else. I mean, hey, watching Night of the Living Dead 3D is better than this. And And I didn't like the prequel to 3D, Night of the Living Dead Reanimation. But this is worse than that. This is the worst of the Night of the Living Dead films. Now, will it be the worst of the entire Romero zombie films? Probably, but we'll see. I'll have more reviews coming for the rest. Day of the Dead 2, Contamination, I think it is. Day of the Dead, Need a Feed. There's more coming up. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys soon. And for those of you who've liked and subscribed, really quick thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day.